And what is up, mother puckers? We are back. Back with another episode. We've been gone for a little bit, couple months, but we're back now. We have a new host with us.
I'm Ryan Curley. I'm SUNY Oneonta's resident Islanders fan, and I'm here today with our host, Michael Lettich.
Boo, boo. Sorry, we don't have any Islanders merch on the table for you.
Nah, I walked into just enemy territory. Should have left the giant Islanders flag over all your merch, but I didn't. I left it in my dorm.
I will have you know, I do own one piece of Islanders merch. This is completely serious. It is a signed puck that I found at a thrift store for $5.
Who signed it?
I forgot the name.
That says a lot.
Also, before we start, I brought you a little gift. It's coming up on Valentine's Day here. So.
Oh, I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
I'm sure you know where this came from.
I know exactly where this came from.
I told your roommate I was doing this.
Okay.
Ryan Curley is my Valentine, everybody.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Of course. Okay, so Islanders, let's talk about them. They were actually doing pretty good towards the end before the Four Nations face-off. They went on a 7-game win streak, right?
Yeah, they were playing all right. I mean, with the Islanders, it's kind of weird to watch because even when they're playing well, a lot of the game is spent in your own end. So by Islander standards, they played very well. We were a little hopeful, maybe a little too hopeful, but I think a lot of people have seen this before where we have a very bad season and we keep telling the organization just embrace the rebuild, and time after time they start winning games just enough to make the playoffs or just miss the playoffs, and then it's kind of back to square one for the next season. So, I mean, while we're happy that they're playing well, it's good to see a little bit of life in the team. It's kind of unfortunate because we've all been here before. You don't want to see your team be the 24th place team.
No.
And that's kind of where we're at right now.
Well, with the Islanders, one thing that I always know them as is just an overtime machine. I remember last season especially, a lot of overtime points, a lot of overtime losses, but still, you guys managed to get a lot of points literally just through overtime losses alone.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that was a big part of our team, although I would like to point out a lot of people were pointing fingers when playoffs came around saying that, oh, the Islanders, they shouldn't be here. You can't lose you can't lose all of your games, get all the overtime points, and then end up in the playoffs. But we did have the exact same amount of overtime points that Boston did. I'm pretty sure.
All right, if it works, it works.
Fact check that, but
you guys are doing good right now. You have 57 points. You're 1 behind the New York Rangers, and you guys are 4 out of the wild card slot. How do you think that race is going there?
That race is very interesting right now because there's a lot of teams that I think are definitely exceeding expectations, my favorite of which being Columbus. I don't think anyone expected them to see anywhere near as much success as they have this year.
Yeah,
I mean, it's major tragedy going into the season, and now they're kind of just using that as their anchor. Would love to see if my Islanders can't do it, I'd love to see them go forward. But right now, I think the Red Wings are impressing, holding on to that spot. We're finally seeing some life out of Ottawa. It's been a while since they've had nearly as much success. I mean, the 2017 Cup year is probably the last time when it was them and Pittsburgh going for the Eastern Conference Final. Pittsburgh got the better of them, but them being as high as they are, that's pretty cool. Something that's interesting to me is seeing teams like the Bruins and the Rangers not in spots come February. I don't think anyone had that on their cards.
No, especially not for the start of the season. I think the Rangers came in high. I think the Bruins were doing good in the beginning too, and then it was just a very kind of quick fall off where, especially I know the Rangers more specifically, just stopped being able to win. I mean, you're talking about the Blue Jackets. They're at 60 points, so is Boston. So they're both 1 point out, fighting the Red Wings for that spot. And then, you got some worse teams, like obviously the Sabres, who really fell.
Yeah.
They went on a huge losing streak that I believe you guys were the ones that
I was at that game, Michael.
Let them end the losing streak.
Yeah, it was December 23rd. Buffalo Sabres hadn't won a game in over a month. I think it was a calendar month to the day.
I think it was about 9 games they were on.
Yeah, they took the ice in UBS Arena, and me and a bunch of my friends from back home were sitting in the nosebleeds and watched a 7-0 stomp out. That was not fun. There was a lot of booing.
Did you go in thinking that was going to happen?
No, a lot of us had No, that was a rough experience. It was a very solemn train ride home. I'll say that much.
It's just quiet, no one's speaking.
Dead silent.
I feel that for the one game I went to, we lost. It was a very quiet train ride as well. All right. Also, Islanders, they are going into a rebuild. I know you said that they don't embrace it, but it seems like they're going to. Like you said, Nelson seems to not want to stick around, and then also there's talks with Dobson being moved too.
Those talks have been coming around all season. Now there's word about Duclair, whether or not he's going to be staying. I think Brock Nelson has kind of done everything he can do as a New York Islander. Obviously, this isn't going to be a Tavares situation where he leaves and everyone freaks out and goes to the game just to boo him. I think a lot of people are going to look back very fondly on Brock Nelson as a New York Islander, but I don't think he's making it out of this season as an Islander. I think come the deadline, there's going to be a lot of people moving. He's definitely going to be one of the favorites. Another one that there's a lot of talk about is Noah Dobson. There's almost a sweepstakes for him.
Yeah.
So who's going to get him first? I've seen Montreal get involved in that talk. I've seen Chicago get involved in that talk, which Chicago could definitely use an offensive defenseman or a shutdown defenseman. We've seen Dobson can be both. So I think for him, he could go anywhere. I think most likely options would be Montreal or Chicago, but we'll just have to wait and see. As for Nelson, I mean, Vancouver was a big pick initially, but now we're not so sure because they made a pretty major move with Miller already.
Yeah.
So, and it seems like even though they made that move with Miller, there's still talk about whether Pettersson's going to leave or not, but I don't see it happening. I feel like they've already made their major move. They're not rebuilding. They're in a playoff. I think they're in a wild card spot right now.
Yeah, Vancouver having a tough time though, but Quinn Hughes already said if they go to rebuild that he's leaving, so that also adds to the tension of Peterson or anyone else getting traded away, because if you lose Quinn, he has been doing everything for them right now.
That's your piece. He's standing on his head there, and they're playing well despite there being very little morale, but it's going to be interesting for Nelson. No one really knows where he's going to end up right now, but it's seeming as though his time has come on the island, and number 29 is probably on his way out.
All right, yeah, well, we'll see how the rest of that goes. That's all the time that we're going to have for now. We're going to go to our next segment here with Luke, our Rangers fan, and talk about some real sports. And we will see you in just a minute. All righty, and we are back. We are here joined with Luke. How are we doing?
Great, I think.
Great. Has your break been great? Because now you're back to work for us, and you can't leave this desk.
I can't at all. I'm stuck here, permanently?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, so New York Rangers, how have they been doing? So to start off, we have missed some time here. We lost Trouba, Kakko, Keetle, and Mancini, and anyone else I might be forgetting. We had a couple of big trades. Obviously, Trouba, our captain, is gone. Kaapo Kakko, who was our second-round draft pick, gone as well. He's been doing pretty well with Seattle since then.
He has, but Will Borgen, who we got back, has been playing surprisingly well.
Yes, I agree with that.
He's been a surprise. I didn't expect him to do much, but he's turned out really well. He got that contract extension.
Yes.
And it might be worth the money. Time will wait and see.
I think that he was definitely a good player. Rangers had a bit of a rough patch and are now starting to pick up again, and I think one of the main reasons for that is that we got JT Miller from the Vancouver Canucks. And I think personally that he's been great. I mean, his first game in for the New York Rangers, he got 2 goals for us, and then next game he gets put in the power play, and I feel like he's been really great on that. What are you thinking?
I mean, he has been a great player throughout his entire career. Sucks that they traded him before he hit his prime and got him back as he's leaving his prime, but I've really loved him every time he's been a Ranger. He's one of my favorites, and he's playing exceptionally well now.
He is, and I think he has also been helping Mika Zibanejad because he hit a slump, and he's still in it a bit, but you see now, especially in the power play, with Miller in it, Mika has gotten more goals and more assists than he has in months.
I think Mika's always been streaky, but there's been players over the years that have been able to unlock that, and they have him on the wing too, right? So that helps out. So.
Yeah, the thing with Mika, he hit such a rough patch. He is a pretty big player for us, but the question is starting to come in is, should he be traded?
If you can find a team that will take that contract, then yes, but he is a bit of an overpay right now for the production and the age. If you could move him, that would be great. But he should stay. He's probably going to stay.
I personally think that he should stay. I think he's having a rough patch. Like, there are interviews where he says that he just gets in his own head, and I think in a similar way, Igor does that a lot too. You can see Igor get in his own head too when he starts to lose it.
Trading Zibanejad might also be a sign that they've given up on the season, but they are so close to a playoff spot. I don't think that would be the move right now.
Yeah, definitely. We made a lot of big moves, like we said earlier, but do we want to keep making these big moves towards the trade deadline to start trying to grasp this playoff spot for now, or do we want to start trying to set up more for the future?
I think so. You've got that window that is kind of closing, like Panarin's on the wrong side of 30, Kreider's on the wrong side of 30, Zibanejad's right around there. Don't know how much longer. I mean, Shesterkin got the big contract. So the window is open if they make trades. It's hopefully to bring in players.
Yeah, one of my things is I feel like next season what we're really going to have to trade for, or maybe bring up somebody, but is goaltending, because I don't think Jonathan Quick can stick around much longer. He is a great backup goalie, but we're going to start needing to train somebody who is going to be able to replace Igor.
Dylan Garand, AHL All-Star in Hartford.
Yes, he was pulled up but wasn't actually played because Igor's out on injury right now. And the last time we had someone from AHL play, I believe it was Louis Domingue, who is also a great player. But Garland, is it time to bring him up, do you think?
Probably wait until the end of the season. I mean, Jonathan Quick's still playing fine.
Yeah, he's still playing great, but he's getting older and older. He's not going to be able to ever be a starting goaltender again.
No, this is probably his last season, I would say. And you're not worried about starting goaltending when you have Shesterkin? Like a goalie like that, you don't have to worry about who your starter is going to be. Yeah, that's a luxury that not very many teams have, and benefits.
But Quick, so as far as you know, I believe Quick did not sign any contract extensions. He is not set to stay for next year, so something's going to have to be figured out to at least have someone in the back. Because, again, Igor is great, but he does have those moments where he slumps and he's going to need someone else to pick him up. And usually it's Quick, but we're going to start needing to find some other people, is what I think.
The Rangers have always been good at producing goalies. Even their backups start for years in the league. So I'm confident they can figure something out.
Yeah, we can look at Cam Talbot was starting in L.A. He had a great run.
And Georgiev. I mean, the list goes on about.
And then obviously Lundqvist, who played for us, he was a great goaltender as well.
Yeah, anyone that's backed up him has been a starter previously or goes on to start. So the Rangers don't have issues with goalies.
Yeah. Another player, I've talked about him before, and I'm wearing his jersey right now, is Will Curley. I still think he's been a surprise for this season. He came in last year. I think he maybe only got 10 goals the entire season, and I believe he's past that already.
I don't know, yeah, but he's been very good. Surprising for what I've labeled him as, like a bottom six type of player.
Yeah, he is a bottom, third line player, but he's been really good. He got the go-ahead goal for us at the end of our last game, and he got 2 goals to help us win in another game. I personally think that he's picking up, and he is, when the all-star players like Panarin and Trocheck and Kreider start to kind of fall out, it is Curley that's coming in to help pick that up, and I think he's been great for that.
15 goals and 14 assists this year for Curley.
Yeah, he's been great, because you can see some of our best players have just not been performing the way that they normally would, that you would think.
+6, and he's one of the few forwards that's on the positive side of the goal differential this year, which is a big +2. Like Capo Caco is, but he hasn't played 20 games for the Rangers.
Well,
so
yeah, he's out.
He's playing good defense, too. He's a really good two-way player.
Yeah, Rangers have been good. Cooley's got some good hits. And then we'll switch things over real quick. We have one Four Nations game that happened the other night. So that was a Four Nations Canada versus, was that Sweden?
That was.
I was correct. So that was 4-3 in overtime.
It was a very good, very surprising game. Sweden was down and out early, and they fought back in the third.
Yeah, I know you were watching it. I was not, and you were saying that it was a...
It was surprising. I didn't know how much the players were going to buy into this little mini tournament. They bought into it big time.
Yeah, they were definitely good. And then their overtime rules were also different this time, I believe. It was a 10-minute
10 minutes.
overtime. There were theories that they were testing this out to bring it into the NHL. What did you think of?
10-minute 3-on-3 too. It was very. I think Sweden controlled the puck for like the first 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes, and I mean it played like a normal overtime, but there was not as much pressure to shoot because you have that double length. It was interesting. It was good. I want to see it again because it was good.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it.
We'll see how the rest of it goes. Obviously, I think the bigger game is going to be USA versus Canada because there is a lot of talk of, is hockey Canada's sport anymore, or is it more of the USA's as the NHL picks up and as more players start to play?
Team Canada is so good, Connor McDavid's on the second line. That's how good they are.
Yeah, I think that'll be a big game. We'll have to see. You guys will probably see before us because it'll probably be out after. That's all the time that we have for today. We're going to send you off. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great one.
The waiting is over. The New York Rangers are the Stanley Cup champions.